According to data from Realtor.com, Miami had the highest rate of home delistings in the entire country, 60 pulled listings for every 100 new ones hitting the market. Not in 2008, not during the pandemic, right now in 2026. Sellers are not lowering their prices, they're not negotiating, they're doing something different. They're just disappearing, quietly pulling their homes off Zillow, off Redfin, off the MLS, and going dark. And when you look at why that's happening, the story gets a lot more complicated than most people realize. Let's break down exactly what's going on in Miami's housing market right now, because this affects homeowners, renters, investors, and anyone thinking about buying in South Florida.
Here's what the numbers actually show. In the summer of 2025, Realtor.com published data showing that Miami had 59 delistings for every 100 new listings, more than twice the rate of the next closest city, which was Phoenix at 37. By October 2025, that number was still 45 delistings for every 100 new listings. Miami was leading the nation, and it wasn't close. Realtor.com's senior economist, Jake Kreml, put it plainly. He called this delisting trend, and I'm quoting here, a perfect personification of the stagnant and frustration-filled housing market. So what does that actually mean on the ground? It means sellers listed their homes, sat there for weeks, sometimes months, got no serious offers, and then pulled the listings entirely rather than drop the price. By last summer, homes in Miami were sitting on the market an average of 88 days before selling. That's 16 days longer than the national average at the time. And in a city where 2 years ago homes were flying off the market in days, that felt like forever to a lot of sellers. At the same time, Miami logged the second steepest home price drop in the country, down 4.7% from 2024 levels. And when you zoom out further, prices are down 17.8% from their 2022 peak. That's a number people aren't talking about enough. So sellers had two choices: cut the price or pull the listing, and a huge chunk of them chose door number 2.
Fast forward to early 2026, and here's what the market looks like today. According to Houseo data from January 2026, the median sale price in Miami sits at $565,000, down 5.83% year over year. Homes are sitting on the market for 86 days on average. Inventory has exploded, up 78.54% compared to the same time last year, with 6,781 active listings in Miami-Dade alone. The Miami Association of Realtors puts the median single-family home price at $699,990 as of early 2026. And for condos, the picture is even more dramatic. There is now 14.1 months of condo inventory in Miami. That is a deep buyer's market. Only 5.84% of homes sold over asking price in January 2026. A year ago, that number was 8.13%. And 81% of homes in Miami had a price reduction at some point during their listing period. That number was 73% a year ago. The sale-to-list ratio, meaning what buyers actually pay versus what sellers originally ask, is sitting at 93.37%. Sellers are consistently getting less than they asked for. The chief economist at Miami Realtors, Gay Carroritan, has said publicly she expects buyers' market conditions to persist through at least mid-2026. And if you're finding this breakdown useful, hit the subscribe button right now. We cover the Florida real estate market consistently. Every shift, every number, every trend that actually matters to your wallet. Here's where the story gets really serious, especially if you own a condo in Miami or you're thinking about buying one. After the Surfside condo collapse in 2021, Florida passed new laws requiring buildings to fund structural reserve accounts and go through milestone inspections. Those laws are now in full effect, and the financial impact on condo owners has been brutal. According to a 2025 report from First Service Residential, which manages condo buildings across South Florida, the average monthly HOA fee for a Miami-Dade high-rise condo is now over $1,900 a month. That is up nearly $500 per month compared to just 1 year earlier. The insurance component alone accounts for $377 per month on average per unit, and that figure rose 25% in a single year. Redfin Premier Agent Rafael Corrales in Miami put it directly when he said many buildings, even ones without major amenities, now have HOA dues north of $1,000 a month. And with special assessments piling on top of that, condo owners who are retired or on a fixed income are being forced to sell and leave because they simply cannot keep up. And some of those special assessments are staggering. One building in North Miami, the Cricket Club, levied assessments of up to $134,000 per unit. A building in Aventura called Mediterranean Village assessed up to $400,000 per unit. These aren't hypothetical numbers. These are bills that actually went out to real owners. That's why investors are pulling back from the condo segment specifically. The math stopped working. When your carrying costs, mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA, reserves, stack up the way they do in Miami right now, the rent you can charge often doesn't cover it anymore. Of the roughly 20,000 condo listings in South Florida in late 2024, more than 17,000 were in buildings that are 30 years or older, which are exactly the buildings now facing the harshest inspection and reserve requirements. That's a lot of supply hitting the market for the wrong reasons.
So why don't sellers just price lower and move on? Part of the answer is the rate lock-in effect. Roughly 58% of outstanding mortgage loans in the U.S. are locked in below 4%. Sellers who bought at those rates look at today's rates, which, according to Freddie Mac data from February 2026, are sitting at 5.98% on a 30-year fixed, and they don't want to trade a 3% mortgage for a 6% one. So they hold. But in Miami, that effect is weaker than in most cities because the HOA fees, the special assessments, the insurance bills, those are forcing some owners to sell whether they want to or not. The loan didn't change. The sale price didn't collapse. The monthly expense structure did. And that expense structure is what's quietly pushing listings onto the market and pulling some of them back off when sellers realize they still can't find a buyer willing to pay enough. Net domestic migration into Florida has also slowed sharply. In 2022, Florida had a net domestic migration of over 310,000 people. By mid-2025, that number had dropped to just 22,500. People are still coming from Latin America. International buyers drove $10.4 billion in Florida residential purchases, up 46% year over year, with 60% paying all cash and heavily concentrated in Miami. But the wave of remote workers and cost of living refugees from New York and California has cooled. The tax savings from Florida's zero income tax are getting eaten up by insurance premiums averaging $7,136 a year and rising HOA fees. UBS Global Wealth Management placed Miami at the top of its list of housing markets most likely to see a bubble correction, higher than Tokyo, Zurich, Los Angeles, Dubai, and Geneva. The price-to-rent ratio in Miami is currently 20, and according to UBS, that has surpassed even the extremes of the 2006 housing bubble.
Here's where things stand right now. Miami is not collapsing. Luxury sales above $1 million were actually up over 21% year over year in January 2026. International cash buyers are still active, but for the average seller in the mid-market, especially condo owners, the situation is genuinely difficult. Costs went up, buyer demand softened, and the price gap between what sellers want and what buyers will pay hasn't closed. The sellers who are quietly delisting right now are not giving up permanently. Many of them are waiting for mortgage rates to drop further, planning to relist in the fall, renovating to compete better, or switching to rentals to ride it out. But that waiting game is creating a pool of shadow inventory, thousands of homes that could flood the market the moment conditions shift. And that's what every homeowner, renter, and investor in South Florida should be watching closely right now. Not just the listings you can see, but the ones that just went dark. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening in Miami, subscribe for more Florida real estate coverage. Drop a comment below. Are you a seller who pulled your listing or a buyer waiting for the right moment? We want to know. And share this with someone who needs to see the full picture.